Picture this. A teenager sits at their desk at 11 p.m., staring at a blank screen. They've told themselves for 6 hours they'd start their essay. They've downloaded productivity apps, set timers, even put their phone in another room. But here they are again, paralyzed, scrolling, feeling like a failure. Sound familiar? Here's the thing nobody tells you. It's not about discipline. It never was. And the psychology behind why traditional discipline fails most American students is absolutely fascinating, and it'll change how you think about motivation forever. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share contradicts everything you've been told about willpower.
We've been sold a lie, a very profitable lie. The self-help industry is worth over $11 billion, and it's built on one simple promise. If you just had more discipline, more willpower, more self-control, you'd be successful. Wake up at 5 a.m., cold showers, study for 6 hours straight, just push through the pain. But here's what the research actually shows. Willpower isn't like a muscle you can strengthen. It's more like a battery that depletes. And for most students, especially in the American education system, that battery is already running on empty before they even try to start their homework. Stanford psychologist Kelly McGonigal spent years studying self-control, and her findings are shocking. Students who rely purely on discipline to get through their work experience higher rates of burnout, anxiety, and, ironically, failure than students who don't. So if discipline isn't the answer, what is? And why does it fail so spectacularly for American students in particular? The answer lies in understanding 3 critical psychological principles that our education system completely ignores. Let's start with the first principle, autonomy. Self-determination theory, developed by psychologists Edward Deci and Richard Ryan, identifies autonomy as one of 3 fundamental human needs for motivation. We need to feel like we have choice, like we're in control of our actions. But here's the paradox. The American education system is designed to eliminate autonomy almost entirely. Think about the average student's day. They don't choose when to wake up, the school bell does. They don't choose what to learn, the curriculum does. They don't choose how to demonstrate their knowledge, the standardized test does. They don't even choose when they can use the bathroom. From elementary school through high school, students spend roughly 15,000 hours in an environment where nearly every decision is made for them. Then we turn around and demand they self-discipline themselves to do homework. We expect them to magically develop internal motivation in a system specifically designed to be externally controlled. It's like keeping someone in handcuffs for 12 years and then being surprised when they can't walk properly once you remove them. Research from the University of Rochester shows that students who experience autonomy in their learning, who get to make choices about what, when, or how they study, show 40% higher intrinsic motivation than students in traditional, controlled environments. But it gets worse, because when you combine this lack of autonomy with the second principle, you create a perfect storm for motivational collapse.
Here's where modern neuroscience completely rewrites the discipline playbook. Your brain runs on a neurochemical called dopamine. It's not the pleasure chemical like people think. It's actually the motivation chemical. Dopamine is what makes you want to do things, what makes effort feel worthwhile. And American students are experiencing a dopamine crisis. Think about the contrast. On one side, you have TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, video games, all algorithmically designed by teams of engineers to deliver micro-hits of dopamine every few seconds. These platforms literally employ neuroscientists to make them as engaging as possible. On the other side, you have homework, a textbook chapter, an essay prompt. These deliver almost zero immediate dopamine, and the payoff, if there is one, comes weeks or months later in the form of a grade. Dr. Anna Lembke, psychiatrist at Stanford and author of Dopamine Nation, explains it like this. We're asking students to compete with the most sophisticated attention capture technology ever created, using nothing but willpower. It's not a fair fight. But here's what makes it even harder for US students specifically. The achievement gap has created what psychologists call reward delay intolerance. Students from lower income backgrounds often experience less predictable reward patterns in their daily lives. Research shows this literally changes brain development, making it harder to delay gratification and work toward distant goals. So when we tell these students to just be disciplined and study for a test that's 3 weeks away, we're asking them to overcome both algorithmic manipulation and neurological wiring. And we haven't even talked about the third principle yet, the one that explains why even good students burn out.
This one's subtle, but it's devastating. Psychologist Carol Dweck's research on mindset revealed something crucial. How you think about yourself determines how you respond to challenges. But there's a darker side to this that most people miss. American students are taught to tie their identity to their academic performance. You're not just someone who got a B on a test, you're a B student. You're not someone learning math, you're either good at math or bad at math. This creates what psychologists call ego depletion. Every time you sit down to study, you're not just doing work, you're putting your entire self-concept on the line. If you fail, you're not just failing a test, you're confirming that you're not smart, not capable, not college material. This is why discipline fails, because discipline requires effort, and effort is risky when your identity is at stake. Think about it. If you barely try and you fail, you can tell yourself, I could have done better if I tried. Your ego is protected. But if you give it everything you have and still fail, that's existential. That means you're not good enough. Psychologists call this self-handicapping, and it's rampant among American students. Studies show that up to 70% of high school students admit to self-handicapping behaviors, procrastinating, not studying, staying up too late, specifically to have an excuse if they fail. It's not lack of discipline, it's self-preservation. And when you combine this identity trap with the lack of autonomy and the dopamine dilemma, you get what we're seeing across America. An entire generation of students who know what they should do, want to do it, but psychologically cannot make themselves do it. So what's the solution?
Here's the paradigm shift. Stop trying to build discipline. Start building systems. Behavioral psychologist B.J. Fogg spent 20 years studying behavior change at Stanford, and his conclusion is radical. Motivation is unreliable. Discipline is unsustainable. What works is making the right behavior the easiest behavior. Let me give you 3 practical applications of this principle that actually work for students. First, the 2-minute rule. Instead of, I need to study for 2 hours, make the requirement, I need to open my textbook and read for 2 minutes. That's it. After 2 minutes, you can stop if you want. Why does this work? Because the psychological barrier isn't the studying, it's the starting. Once you begin, continuation is actually easier than you think. You're leveraging what psychologists call activation energy. Most students continue well past 2 minutes because the hardest part is already done. Second, environmental design. Remember how I said autonomy matters? You might not control your school schedule, but you control your study environment. Research from Princeton Neuroscience Institute shows that physical clutter competes for your attention and reduces your ability to focus. But here's the key. Don't try to discipline yourself to focus in a chaotic room. Change the room. Create a dedicated study space, even if it's just one corner of your room. Remove your phone, not through willpower, but through physical distance. Put it in another room.
Use apps that block social media during study time. You're not building discipline, you're removing the need for discipline. Third, identity reframe. Stop saying, "I'm bad at this," or "I'm a procrastinator." Start saying, "I'm someone who's still learning this," or "I'm working on my systems." This isn't just positive thinking, it's neurologically different. Stanford research shows that growth-oriented identity statements activate different neural pathways than fixed identity statements. They reduce the ego threat and make effort feel safer. The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to be someone who shows up, even imperfectly.
Here's the paradigm shift. Stop trying to build discipline, start building systems. Behavioral psychologist B.J. Fogg spent 20 years studying behavior change at Stanford, and his conclusion is radical. Motivation is unreliable. Discipline is unsustainable. What works is making the right behavior the easiest behavior. Let me give you 3 practical applications of this principle that actually work for students. First, the 2-minute rule. Instead of, "I need to study for 2 hours," make the requirement, "I need to open my textbook and read for 2 minutes." That's it. After 2 minutes, you can stop if you want. Why does this work? Because the psychological barrier isn't the studying, it's the starting. Once you begin, continuation is actually easier than you think. You're leveraging what psychologists call activation energy. Most students continue well past 2 minutes because the hardest part is already done. Second, environmental design. Remember how I said autonomy matters? You might not control your school schedule, but you control your study environment. Research from Princeton Neuroscience Institute shows that physical clutter competes for your attention and reduces your ability to focus. But here's the key. Don't try to discipline yourself to focus in a chaotic room. Change the room. Create a dedicated study space, even if it's just one corner of your room. Remove your phone, not through willpower, but through physical distance. Put it in another room. Use apps that block social media during study time. You're not building discipline, you're removing the need for discipline. Third, identity reframe. Stop saying, "I'm bad at this," or "I'm a procrastinator." Start saying, "I'm someone who's still learning this," or "I'm working on my systems." This isn't just positive thinking, it's neurologically different. Stanford research shows that growth-oriented identity statements activate different neural pathways than fixed identity statements. They reduce the ego threat and make effort feel safer. The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to be someone who shows up, even imperfectly.
So here's what I want you to take away. If you're a student struggling with motivation, it's not a character flaw. You're not lazy, you're not weak. You're a human being responding normally to a system that ignores psychology. Start small, change your environment, reframe your identity, build systems, not discipline. And if you're an educator, parent, or policymaker, it's time to stop blaming students for lacking discipline and start building systems that make discipline unnecessary. The future of education isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter, working with human psychology instead of against it. Thanks for watching. If this changed how you think about motivation, hit that like button and subscribe for more psychology-backed insights that challenge conventional wisdom. See you in the next one.